Morning, colleagues. I think we should start. In the interest of time, let us try to do what we can do and finalize this session, because this is the last session, by the way, and there won't be additional session that will be done, but we'll see how far we can go. Last week, I was with Mark and Anthony, I think, and Gareth. We try to do activity number 6 and 7, and maybe they will deliberate on that activity when we are done. The activity number 6, it was this, managing the cost. And then activity number 7 was consider economic activities when managing the cost. Is that right, colleagues, that were on that session? Hello?
That's correct. Sorry, guys. I'm just between the air and talking to my boss who's telling me I need to put in leave to do the course. No problem.
Okay, colleagues. There's activity number 6 and 7 that's still to be completed in your portfolio of evidence. And we were supposed to be doing a report back in this session. However, may I humbly request that we move on to project communication management. We will wrap up with these activities when we are done. Is that okay for everybody?
I'm good with that, thanks.
Yeah, let us try and push the theory, colleagues. My interest today is to push the theory. The activities are there for all of us to be completed in the portfolio of evidence. It will be very not wonderful to not to complete the theory than not to complete at all. So let us complete the theory and the module so that we don't repeat what happened in the second module that you faced. So we will deal with the activities as when they come. And we may want to do a group session where you ask me whether or not you are in the right path or what, in as far as the portfolio of evidence activities is concerned. In today's session, we'll be at page 59, project communication. In any project, colleagues, as a project manager, it is very vital for you to communicate. Be as it may, you'll communicate with your stakeholders, you'll communicate with your team. So communication plays a very crucial part in any project, because you are not in isolation with anybody. When you're running a project, you want that project to succeed. Therefore, you will have to communicate one way or another, giving feedback to the sponsors, giving feedback to your team, stakeholders, giving feedback to your organization, because the project will vary. Projects vary from time to time. You may want to do your own project in your own organization. So you will want to communicate the outcome of that project or the progress of that project. If the CEO wants the feedback, you need to communicate. So communication plays a very vital role. Hence, within the project environment, communication is a critical skill each team member of project must master. There will be a sender, there will be a receiver, where you encode and decode communication. This simply illustrates that someone sent a message, which would be a sender, using a tool of encoder or likely a phone to another person's receiver, who also uses a tool as a decoder through a medium, and the phone signal. The three steps of effective communication: identify communication requirements, identify the 5 Y's, and 1 H of communication. Who must be communicated to? What do we need to communicate? When should it be communicated? Where should we communicate the message? Why the information to communication so important? How do we communicate? Identify the environment factors, identify organizational process assets. So the intention of doing that communication is maybe the project intends to benefit certain individual or the community or the organization. So you need to communicate the message of that project. Are we clear, colleagues? A project communication plan must be something that you also need to do. A project communication plan is a simple tool that enables you to communicate effectively on a project with your client, team, and other stakeholders. It is set clear guidelines for how information will be shared, as well as who's responsible for and the needs to be looped in on each project communication. Remember, within the project environment, communication is the key. The project manager and team members have many communication methods and receivers to consider when planning to communicate. There will be steps there in project communication, colleagues. They are listed, they are in your study guide. Step number 1, you will list the project communication needs. Step number 2, define the purpose of communication. Step number 3, choose the appropriate communication method, whether you'll be using the WhatsApp, the Facebook, internal communication, external communication, newspapers, etc., etc. Step number 4, the set timeframes for the communication. And number 5, identify the person responsible and stakeholders. In any project, you will have your communications officer who will be responsible for communicating with the other stakeholders and other team members, and you are solely responsible as a project manager to oversee all those things. But you cannot communicate to everyone because you will be confronted with other project activities that you need to be responsible for. But the overall communication lies within you, but you may want to assign someone to be responsible for other communication. There will be examples, they are there in your study guides, communication plan. This is how it's illustrated there. That's an example that is in your study guide as well. I thought I should put it there. And project meeting management. It is essential that when you do project meeting management, you record everything and you archive, colleagues. It has to be a formal communication as well. It has to be a formal meeting. Prepare agenda, there will be minutes and action list, some of the documents associated with meetings. This, you held meetings in your departments. The documents that are required in the meetings, such as agendas and registers, that is something that you do on a daily basis when you have meetings. In any project, you should follow the same sequence that you will be doing. And there are different reasons why meetings are still regarded as such as important communication tool. Some of these reasons include analysis of information, collective decision making, because as a project manager, you need a buy-in from the stakeholders, you need a buy-in from your team members, so you need to have a collective decision to see the success of that project. Generating new ideas, you may see in a different view of that project, others they may see it in another angle. solutions to a challenge. They can be expected there and there if there are any challenges. Exchanging information, persuading attendees, inspirations, ignitions, and team building. That will be the whole purpose of that. Project meetings continues like there will be role players in the meeting, meeting management. Understanding the different role players in the meeting is important. Without understanding, you will not know what you have to prepare for the meeting, as different role players have different responsibilities to perform. To explain this, we'll differentiate between formal and informal meetings and the role players, the roles people play during these meetings. There, it's in your study guide as well. The formal meetings, there will be a chair, secretary, meeting members. That's a formal one. The informal one, there will be a facilitator, scriber, meeting members, and timekeeper. This will be something that maybe you do. The formal, you'll do it in the office, or maybe if you are doing the site visits, you will site visit in the project, you will do an informal meeting where you will facilitate as a project manager, and then there will be a scriber to minute what you are talking about. This normally happens sometimes on site or during the discussion that you didn't envisage to have this meeting. That will be informal. The one that is chaired, there will be agenda, the purpose of that meeting, etc., etc. Any questions, colleagues, so far? While we're still at a project meeting management, types of project meetings, they're in your study guide. Read them through. Regular team meetings, stakeholder meetings, change control meetings, data review meetings, and project review meetings. Refer to your study guide and to get more insight on those types. Why do you think it's essential to have these meetings, such as stakeholder meetings? Anyone, colleagues?
To keep everyone informed, so if there are any issues can be sorted out in a good time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not only that, stakeholders are the key people in any project. You will want to inform them on the progress of that project. Remember, in your stakeholders could be your sponsor. So if you don't keep them a loop at the project status, they may want to be dubious about that project. So information sharing keeps everyone on the same page. That's the bottom line. And status review meetings, you will want to see where you are in as far as the project is concerned. Thank you for your input. Anyone? The colleagues? We'll also look at the plan for a project meeting. There are phases there. Preparing meeting activities, plan meeting logistics, determining the meeting purposes, develop the meeting agenda. This will be precisely on the formal session. Organize the meeting rooms or virtual rooms. This will be precisely in the formal way, not in an informal way. The meeting process will be the opening meeting, review the previous minutes. That is done by the chair. From this slide, this will be the formal meetings. And obviously the secretary will be giving the previous minutes of the previous meeting, managing the agenda of the meeting, close the meeting. And the other phase is post-meeting activities. Distribute the minutes of the meeting, follow up with the relevant parties. That is how the plan for a project meeting, in as far as the meetings is concerned, when it comes to a project. And of course, conduct the project meeting. Each meeting should be conducted in line with the purpose set for the meeting. You can't now introduce other items that were not forming part of the meeting. The agenda will also lead the meeting structure. Minute taking, it's very important because you'll refer to the previous one if you had that meeting. Minutes of the meetings allow the project manager to have a record of discussion that has taken place, decision taken, and the actions implemented for future reference. There are various types of minutes, and they are listed there. Verbatim minutes, narrative minutes, resolution decision minutes, action minutes. You can read more about those types in your study guide. And we will look at project integration management, where it is at page 77. In any project integration management involves around the project cycle as well. Project integration refers to the combination of all project management knowledge areas. You still remember those project management knowledge areas? That's the integration of it. Project integration management includes the process and the activities to identify, define, combine, unify, and coordinate the various processes and the project management activities within the project management process group. Project integration management include making choices about resource allocation, balancing competing demand, examining an alternative approaches, tailoring the process to meet the project objectives, and managing interdependencies among the project management knowledge areas. What necessitates change in a project when you are managing a change? The project itself necessitates change, various events, change in project scope, alteration in the time scheduled, variations in the proposed cost, divergence in the designed patterns, quality, or specifications of the deliverables, and modification in the technology necessitate a change. In our previous sessions, we spoke about inflation. Inflation necessitates a change in any project. You may be confronted with that one way or another. Disaster necessitates a change, such as COVID-19 that we were confronted with. We spoke about recession. That can necessitate a change because obviously the cost will be affected there from the suppliers and you may want to think what necessitated change as well from what I've just illustrated now as an examples. What can the change control process do? Many projects fail to succeed because they lack proper change control management. Changes can emanate from positive or negative situation. Excuse me. Whatever the change and whatever their origin is, they must be controlled properly, colleagues. As a project manager, you will want to control this appropriately and come up with best possible alternatives so that you don't stop the project and the project still continues because there are time there. Timelines, deadlines that you need to meet. How to make changes? There are solutions to sound logic behind every change. Before making any change, a project manager must validate its authenticity. The changes can be made only if the response to all the following questions sound convincing. What is a change required? What is the proposed change? What is the agency of the change? Is the change visible? Is the change discretionary or compulsory? What will be the benefits of making the change? There are so many benefits there because you don't want that change to stop that project to happen. Key components of the change control processes. Control scope change. Scope defines the range, extent, or purview of the project. Every project exists to achieve something, and this achievement has to come within the scope that the organization has defined for the project. Control schedule change. Every project has a deadline. As I've mentioned, this entails every process and activity involved in a project also has a deadline. A project manager knows the importance of these deadlines and is well aware of the consequences of not adhering to them. Be as it may, whether the consequences are punitive or what, you need to meet those deadlines of that project that you envisage to happen. You may want to have the record keeping as to what happened to those changes and what mitigation did you do in order not to meet the deadlines. That's where maybe perhaps you will want to illustrate the deviation process, how you embarked with that deviation of not meeting the deadlines of that. That will be another angle that you may want to look at it. While we still at the key components of the change control processes, there will be a change control, accountability, and authority, where change control is a process that entails a huge responsibility and accountability. Many expectations attached to the outcome of the change control processes. Therefore, anyone who manages this process has to shoulder the responsibility for its outcome. It must also draw the boundaries for those involved in the change control process. This is important, colleagues, as there should be no administrative complications or supervisory complicities while managing the change control processes. Your outcomes is to make sure that the project succeeds. As a project manager, it's your responsibility that you finish the project. Ultimately, the outcome is to see the project succeeding. And there will be a project review meetings that you will want to initiate. Controlling the change is a comprehensive process. It can make a manager, or it may a project. This is why it calls for some exhaustive decision and intensive meetings. Analyze the change control results. The results of the change process, results of the change control process must be analyzed. This is vital to ascertain the unusefulness of the process. The change control mechanism must produce what it promised. You have promised that you will deliver in this project, so you must adhere to it and try to analyze those change controls and manage them effectively so that the outcome of that project becomes a success. Manage project documents. In any project, we refer to, you need to archive any records for history purposes. For an example, the archive may contain different types of records, such as administrative files, where you show who was your, in as far as WBS is concerned, who was tasked to do which activities should anything fail in that project. Business records, memos, who you wrote to. Maybe you may write a memo for the CEO requesting additional funds. You need to record that. Or additional team member. Or official correspondence. You may receive an official correspondence from other stakeholders. Meeting minutes that you have conducted, letters that you wrote. Maybe you requested additional sponsorship, papers, photographs. In any project, when you do, you need evidence, photos from before and after. So you may want to show, this is what I've done before, and this is now, in as far as this project is concerned, or for reference purposes. When you want to initiate another project, you've got evidence to show. This is a project that I once embarked on, and people who want to see photographic evidence, computer files, and etc., etc. I thought I should put that. This is in your study guide, project documents, examples, colleagues. You may want to read more about it. Project management plan and project documents. They are there listed there in your study guide. Any questions, colleagues? Okay. There's 4 of us in this session, excluding Michelle. Michelle representing the gentleman, Futali. She's giving us support in as far as your concerns are related in terms of technology and what. Yeah. So it's only 4 of you. I would like us to do from now onwards until, I don't know, until the time comes for us to part ways. This is my conclusion to the theory in terms of this session is concerned. And I would like us to zoom into the activities in there as far as the portfolio of evidence is concerned. The last session we had activity number 6 and 7 that were supposed to have been done. And this was the activity number 7. I don't know how far are you with this and if there are any questions. And if you want to report, we can resume in reporting in this activity. The colleagues who were here last time. And in today's session, I'm requesting you to do as much as you can in this activity number 8. It's what we're just talking about. Activity number 9, activity number 10, activity number 11, activity number 12, and activity number 13. Then we do the reporting and then we conclude this module. And we start. Time is of the essence.
Just a question. Last week you were, or the week before, you were saying you want to get to a specific new unit that is being introduced, I think probably by SACWA. Has that been covered or what happened to that?
The new unit, it was this project integration and project communication. Project communication management. That's the units that they were following each other from the project that we were doing initially. Initially, the first unit that we embarked on was, and the lengthiest one was this one, Mark. The one we started with, it was this project procurement.
Okay.
So this was the lengthiest one, and that's where we zoom in time, and there were many calculations that needed to be covered there, and the activities. Remember, okay, let me just recap for the benefit of your question. We covered this project procurement, and today we did the project communication management and project integration. But the first day, it took us, if not 3 sessions, project procurement plan, where we looked at the introduction, where we looked at, these were the learning outcomes, what we needed to cover. Okay. What we needed to cover was this, from these learning outcomes. We also, we looked at this, the project management concept review, where we started this journey with the knowledge areas. This was day 1 when we started this session. And then we covered the project management concept review. Then I went on illustrating in module 3, this is what we'll be covering. And I went on in introduction to procurement, to project procurement management, where we looked at SLAs and memorandum of understanding, etc., all these processes. And then we looked at different contracts when we do procurement. What is it that we must do? You remember we're doing activities on quotations and procurement processes and practices. We went on how do we practice that in as far as to plan as a project manager. And there were different types of contracts. And we looked at the selection of methods. This was on that first unit, by the way. Procurement selection methods, we looked at that. We went on looking at the tendering. How would you do the invitation? And there were some activities there. And this was the example of the government tendering process. We did activity number 1. We went on conduct procurements. We gave examples there. Perishable goods, what were they? Control procurements. Control procurements continued. And there was an activity there. We did cost calculations. That's where we spend the time. And we gave examples there. Remember, this was, I think, the second session there. Still on the same unit. Cost calculations, conversion, volumes, and volume conversions. We did that. Still on the same unit. We did ratios, we did the task, area, and parameters. Sorry?
I obviously misunderstood you. So you were talking about basically sections when you were talking. I thought it's something different that you needed to get in the course, but basically you went on to, we need to move on basically onto the next section of the course.
Okay, sorry,
My
maybe
my apologies.
Yeah. No, it's fine, Mr. Mark. But yeah, in the interest, just to recap where we come from, it's still okay. I wouldn't mind to do this as well, just for the benefit.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. And now we did the sites. Remember when we were doing the sites and you guys had a lengthy discussions about it, and then we did the calculation of shapes. This was a lengthy unit. Cost control, we did that. And this was the theory that I tried to prepare. We looked at the financial instruments, we unpacked them, and yeah. And this was an example of the budget for a period. Remember, Mark, you were a guru in the calculations here. And we did activity number 5, cost control calculations. While we're still at the financial instrument, the interest, simple interest, compound interest, I think this was last week's session. And yeah, we did this. There were some activities there. And I said some of the things that were in your study guide. I even asked you to go and read page 51 to 52. And there was activity number 6. And we did economic activity. I went on where we're talking about the gross domestic product that can affect your project, and where in the business cycle, I even spoke about the recession now that can hinder you not to complete your project. And yeah. And we did the impact of inflation. Colleagues, this can impact you on your project not to succeed. Inflation plays a very important role in any project. Inflation can impact on any project. Economic activity, we did examples. Economic activity, we looked at the causes of inflation, we gave examples. And yeah, there was this economic drivers that we looked at. And these were the drivers as well, exchange rate. And there was this activity that I said you must complete as well. Then I concluded by saying we'll introduce another. We'll go to another unit, which is this one, project communication management. This is what I've touched based on now. in any project is essential for us to communicate as project managers, what we intend to do. And there was this 5 Ys and 1 H that you must always be, it must always be at the back of your mind as a project manager. And we just completed this. I told you this you'll find in your study guide. And there were meetings that you need to do in any project, and there were type of meetings. And your role players, why you need to have meetings, and sometimes you'll have a formal meeting and informal meeting. And you need to plan for your meetings as a project manager. And there was this project integration where I said this will cover from their project life cycle, because it's a combination of all these processes that we started with from module 1, 2, 3. And what necessitates a change, we just spoke about it now. And how to make changes in any project, how to control those changes, etc., etc. Manage project documents. It is important to archive those documents because every document is important. And I said there will examples in your study guide, and we are here. So you need to cover this activity 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And remember, this is our last day. May you start, please. Colleagues, can you start the activities so that I can give guidance in as far as the activity is concerned? And yeah, these are the activities that are remaining for you guys to be completed in your portfolio of evidence. Until activity number 13. So Mark, where do you want to start? Activity number 7, I presume.
We're going to nominate Chili Sasani to lead for us today.
Okay, while you're nominating Mark, are you starting with activity number 7 or 8?
I'm on, let me see in your own words.
Because last week I said you're doing 6 and 7.
Well,
so
I'm done. 6 is done. So this is 6 is done. That's done. The other is cost. Okay, that's just theory. I think we need to start at 7. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know what the rest of the group is saying.
Okay. Then it's activity number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Yeah, from 7 until the last one. Can we, colleagues, start, please, and so that we are on the same page of finishing. Activity number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is what we need to do from now until we finish. I'll mute myself. Can we start, colleagues? And these are your activities. I've covered the theory in as far as the project implementation is concerned. Activities, formative, it's supposed to be done in this session. So you may want to start now and try to push as far as you can. And there are 13, 7 until 13. and then you have completed the module. Okay, activity number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Mr. Cheerleader, they've requested you to lead the group. Can you start the activity, please?
Guys, someone needs to take the lead here. Eh? We're wasting time.
There's no one who's even talking. And these activities must be done by you, not myself, unfortunately. So I don't know why colleagues are not taking part in their own activities. And
Marcus, are you there, Marcus? Taylor, do you want to lead? I'll watch the field. So long. Or Michelle, or I'm reading the names here as I see it.
Michelle, she's part of Regenesis, so she's just giving an
sorry,
support.
Michelle. Sorry, yeah. Michelle or Louisa. If one of you guys want to just lead the discussion, we can get going. And let's start. Is everybody online, or can you hear us or something?
I have no idea.
Guys? Okay, I'll read the question.
I'm to share that document here.
Let me just first get it. Okay, activity 7. Teams, share. The worst person to actually be doing this, but okay. Where do I share my screen? My share is low lighted, so I can't share.
I'm trying to share it for you.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand why you couldn't complete the other module, because now you'll find yourself, maybe you are 2 in the class and others are not there. Okay, this is the question. In as far as the activity is concerned,
We're not going anywhere. Nobody's talking, guys. So basically, let's read the question. Consider economic activities when managing costs. So find out the interest and inflation rates for any 3 countries of your choice. So you can choose your own 3 countries. Thereafter, complete the table. So how are we going to find this out? We're going to obviously need to use Google or something. That's my thoughts on it. Okay, we're talking about interest rates and we're talking about inflation rates, and we need to understand what that actually means. So what is interest rates? Can anybody tell me what they understand by interest rates? You can get a know what we're looking for. No. Okay, I'll just share my thoughts on interest rates. Interest rates, the way I understand, is what you would repay. You get different types of deals on repayments, but basically, if you borrow money, you're going to have to pay back extra in terms of the interest rate that you get, or whatever. That's what I'm understanding about interest rates. Inflation rates, I understand it to be something different. That's basically the actual value of money at that point in time. So it's like the cost of living, you know, like before you could buy a bread for R2.40, now you're paying 16 rand, 18 rand something for the bread. So the inflation rate is almost like the value of the money is decreased. I don't know. So that's my understanding. I don't know if anybody want to give some input there. And yeah, the countries, you can choose 3 countries. I think one of the countries we should choose, obviously, is going to be South Africa. And maybe choose a well-off country that's doing very well.
Or very
And then maybe a country that's not doing so well. The economy is basically stuffed. That's my suggestion.
yeah, South Africa, Zimbabwe, America.
Zimbabwe and America. Okay, so we're gonna agree we're gonna do the work on Zimbabwe and America and South Africa. Okay, cool. I can't talk. Okay, so what is the current interest rate on? Let's start. So we're gonna make the countries 1, 2, 3. We're gonna make it in that order. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it in that order. So, Telisisani, can you read, please, buddy?
What's that?
Can you read, please, man? Just take it further from there. I just need to take this call.
Is there anybody in this classroom anyway? I don't think there is. Okay, so it says find out the interest and inflation rate of any 3 countries of your choice. Thereafter, complete the table. We've got the country. Compare the interest rate and inflation rates for 3 countries in your answer. So now basically we write the interest rates for South Africa, Zimbabwe, and America. And then we compare the 2. Explain which country is better for a project to do business in, considering that high interest rate makes the cost of borrowing higher and inflation affects the value of money. So basically just we do a comparison there. I think that's as simple as that.
But wouldn't we, you know, would it be as simple as that? Because we would have to consider, you know, there's quite a few things. I mean, maybe South Africa's economy is not so great at this point in time. But I mean, what would be the costs in terms of having to get your your product from America? And what is the trade relations between the 2 countries? And how would that affect your project or your business that you're doing, because there will be custom payables and delays and all that stuff. So I don't think it's as simple as that. I just seen
yeah, but they don't want us. I think what they want us to just look at the basic principle of how inflation rate and interest rate affects your project. So we shouldn't be the MBA analyst on it to that extent. We just want to check how this will affect the progress of our project and which country will be best to run a project in. So we don't really worry about the rest of the stuff. We just worry about our project and our
okay, I'm with you. So we don't consider anything like we just do a straight like what you see, what you get, WYSIWYG type of thing. We're looking just at interest rates. We're not considering everything else. Is that what you're saying, huh?
Yeah, because we are project managers. We don't worry about a whole lot of other things except things that give us profit on the project. You see?
Okay, so we just take a blanket look just at what they're asking for. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Cool.
That's I would have to it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy with that. I don't know if anybody else has got anything else. I think we can move on.
Everybody else is on December mode, bro.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. You should, the question says you must do. I like that. And yeah, guys, keep the momentum going. And try and tackle these questions and let us see how far can we go. Are you done with activity number 7?
Yeah, that is actually all in there. I think we know how to answer it. We've agreed how we're going to answer it. So I don't think we have to go into the nitty-gritty of having to go Google or
Okay.
whatever, but so we can move on to 8,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, be mindful of the marks allocation there, colleagues, when you are answering this question. You wouldn't want to go much for 4 marks and yeah.
But this
Yeah.
is
So where should I put it to activity number 8?
Yes, please.
Okay. This
quick question, Tabo.
is for 20 marks.
Tabo,
Sorry?
can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Mark allocation. Is it
Mhm.
dependent on how much sense your point makes, or is it dependent on how much content you can put on a piece of paper?
You know, it will be the discretion of the marker, but I will say put the content as per the mark allocation. You know, if it's
Why are we
so,
at this level of our life right now, more on the content than on the logic? Why are we supposed to be concerned about content? I mean, if I can be able to make myself as clear as possible without having to blah 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 blah, why should I now try to blah 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 blah? If okay, let's just talk about interest rates, for example. If a certain current country has got an interest rate that is higher than the other, they do not really necessarily need to make their currency as strong as the other. Their interest rates, sorry, their currency value will be what it is based on whatever is going on in there, not by the content that that thing has. I don't know if I'm making sense.
absolutely. Yeah, you are making sense, but would you want to tell me which country are you talking about?
So I'm making an example with the country, as in with if I feel like my sentence has got heavy enough value on it that I do not need to go blah 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 blah. Eh?
Yes.
Why should I then? I'll end up lying on the text there. I'll end up putting context that doesn't make sense because I've already made my sense. My brain has already put that sense in there, and I feel like this is heavy enough for me to get my 4 marks. Or for me, these 3 sentences can give me 30 marks because it's straight to the point. It's a target.
Mr. Chile, I hear you. I fully agree with what you are saying. For me, you can. That is why I said it's a marker's discretion. For me, if you straight to the point, I don't see why you wouldn't qualify for even a sentence. For me, I will allocate it. If it's 4 marks, it's gonna be 2, and another one that you do, it's another 2. Then it's 4 marks. So sometimes that is why I'm making you mindful. You don't need to say blah, blah, blah. When you see that's 4 marks allocation, what's the point of you to say blah, 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 blah for a paragraph when else you're going to get only 4 marks? That's the point that I was trying to get you at. So your content, it might be short but relevant, which is good for me.
No, thank you.
That's the bottom line. If you are clear, straight to the point, that's it. Portfolio of evidence, it doesn't need you to say much, but I want, or they will want to see the understanding. That's the bottom line. And I said it last week, I said it before, illustrate, demonstrate your understanding, that's it. You may come out with different answers, be as it may, but talking to the same thing. And marks will be allocated accordingly to your demonstration. It's all about you demonstrating to them, to us, your understanding of this. So if we are collectively doing these activities, we want to share the knowledge and so you doing it on your own, you demonstrating to us that you understand the topic that you're talking about, or the question rather. Is that answering your question?
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Mr. Chile?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Sunny? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes. 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 I said yes. It does answer my question, sir.
Okay. Let us tackle these activities, colleagues, and try and do what we can do. That's your next question then. Activity number 8. Let me mute myself, sorry.
Project communication planning. Use the scenario from formative activity 2 for this activity. Use the information from the scenario and develop project communication plan for the community project. Your communication plan must include the following information: the communication methods, time frame for the communication, the purpose of the communication, and the person responsible for the communication. Okay, Mark, I think here we have to do the a communication plan. What we are going to use to communicate, the time frame from start to end of communication, the purpose of the communication, and the person who is going to chair the communication. That's what we need to list there.
Okay. I agree with you. I'm just looking at the mark allocation. We always reminded. So I see there's 4 A, B, C, D. So basically, each point should be basically bring in 5 marks for that total of 20. You agree? Yeah. So remember, with the communication methods, there's 2 types of in our communication plan. What I see here is this is a community project, so there must be community communication to the community, and there will be communication to, which is also a very important stakeholder, and there will be probably sponsors as a stakeholder. And I think obviously we just need to remember that you'll follow different communication paths or plans. So in our overall plan of communication, we must know that we can't talk to the community probably in the same way as we would talk to a a sponsor. So that's, I think, what we just need to remember, that when we develop the communications methods. Okay, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then the time frames for the communication, obviously, how regularly are we going to be feedbacking up? Maybe like this, we spoke earlier on about the communication to like stakeholders, which the community is a stakeholder. I'll keep on saying that, I repeat it. But you know, where there's people that's investing or sponsoring, they might be worried about they're going to lose bucks, and that might be maybe need a more regular form of communication that we need to set out in our plan, as opposed to maybe with the communication to the community. And obviously, the purpose of those communications, I don't know, my thinking is, first of all, like Mark said earlier on, to keep everybody informed. I mean, you know, don't keep people like mushrooms and keep them in the dark. But basically, while people are informed, I mean, and with the shareholders, I feel that is a means of managing their expectations, you know, that they know they're on track. This is what to expect. This is that. And obviously, bearing in mind that the sponsor portion of the stakeholder, we might require additional resources. So we want to actually, as much as well as possible, try and keep these oaks happy in case we need more funding. That's the type of things that I think we should talk. I don't know how you break it down into actual marks, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I mean, I don't know what you're saying is on those 3 points that I mentioned.
Yeah, we just mentioned. I think it's very accurate how you put it. We just have to like mention it on that alphabetical order. The communication method, we explain what communication method we're gonna. We don't even need to explain why. You just explain the communication method you're gonna use, like, and you like what you said, time frame, We explain the time frames, how frequent they are going to be, for what duration, the purpose of the
And
communication. Then they will allocate the marks for us.
so there will be obviously different also communications. Remember, we've got a project team. So I think, so have we got a communications team within that project team that will see that the specific communication goes? The project manager obviously and his team will be communicating to, they will need to talk to the team itself, just the team members. So there's a lot of communication. Like they said, communication is key. So there's communication to the team members in the team. There's communication to the stakeholders, which is basically the community and the investors or the sponsors. So there's quite a bit you can write about there.
Yeah.
When they say the person responsible for the communication, that's what I'm. When I hear responsible, I always think about Raki. very, very confusing thing, but okay. I didn't know there was a difference between responsibility and accountability. I must say, I had to Google that and talk to people and whatever, but I think I understand it now. But when they say person responsible, we just got that choice. I don't know if that choice is just the words were just taken lightly, but when we talk about who's responsible, we just have to bear that in mind.
So remember that this communication is a communication towards the community. So this is the communication on the project, but to the community. So the person responsible for that must be the person who is overseeing the project and has got enough information to give the community. So this is like a direct communication about the project to the community.
Project manager, probably the project manager.
Yes, yes, project manager and community team member.
Yeah. I think we can fathom out how to just get to that 5 marks for that section of that question. I think, I don't know how you are.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Are you the one who's in charge of this slide?
No, you are. You are.
No,
So
of
you
the
must...
slide. I'm not in charge of the slide. I don't think so.
Oh no, the lecturers, Tam is in charge of the slide. So, but I'm just paging up. I'm not even looking at what you're presenting. I'm looking at my own POE and making the notes as we're discussing.
Ah, okay.
So I'm on formative activity 9 now. Plan for a project meeting.
Okay.
So you can lead there.
Let me just. My laptop just switched off. Yeah. Let me just pull my laptop back up. Can you read that question in the meanwhile while I'm switching my laptop?
Okay. So the initial meeting between you and the government entity took place for the scenario explained informative activity 2. In this meeting, you received the contract, you signed it, and agreed to meet within a week to present your project plan. Okay? So now the first question of that scenario is, what type of meeting do you think this is? And explain your answer.
It's a formal meeting.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know the word formal must come in there.
Assessment. Okay, so I'll read that again. So the initial meeting between you and the government entity took place for the scenario explained informative meeting. This meeting, you received the contract, signed it, and agreed to meet within a week to present your plan. What type of meeting do you think this is? A formal meeting because you are meeting and you are making formal agreements with the government and signing those contracts. So that's what would make it a formal meeting.
Okay.
You're basically finalizing agreements, and for me, it's a formal meeting because of that.
Okay, I'll agree with that. So basically, we're just going a little bit more because now we need to present the plan.
No. We're gonna present the plan in a week. So we are going to talk about.
Meet within a week to present your plan, your project plan. So it means within a week, we signed the legal part of it. The contract is in place now.
Yeah.
And we agreed to meet within a week so that I can present the project plan.
Yes.
So the formal meeting, we agreed on that. What type of meeting do you think this is? And explain your answer. Formal meeting. And yeah, now we're just going to give a little bit more in-depth breakdown of the actual plan of execution. How are we going to execute everything? I don't know.
Not on that one. I think on this one, what we need to do, they're asking what type of meeting is. So we told them that it's a formal meeting. Now, explaining your answer will just basically mean explain what a formal meeting is.
Oh, that's true. There's another way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
explain what a formal meeting is. That should give us the 3 marks.
Yeah, so we expand on basically what a formal meeting entails.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm with you. I'll get into that. I'll go to the actual learner guide to get how to answer that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it only the two of us?
Yeah, everybody is struggling with the network, and they are preparing for the 16th of June. Of December. I'm just. Yeah. So it's a formal meeting, and we just explain what a formal meeting is. That should give us that 3 marks. Because
yeah. I agree with you.
The next one says identify 3 meeting roles that will be present at the meeting and explain the purpose of each role. We know that the project manager has to be there.
Okay, I agree.
The project manager is because he's got the scope of the project. The next person who has to be there. So we are assigning the initial meeting between you and the government. We know that a government representative, a government stakeholder has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Government stakeholder who is going to be the representative of the government. What else do we know? There's project manager, which is us, government stakeholder. Who else? Should the sponsors be there? No, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look at all this.
Wouldn't this just be whoever's? Would this just be a meeting with the government alone, or would it be a stakeholder meeting where whoever's a stakeholder will be present?
So there need to be key stakeholders in this meeting. They need to be the person who is running the project or who has to run the project, which is the manager. There has to be a representative from the government.
Yeah, which is the government stakeholder. Yeah, represents the government.
And there need to be, I think a chair. Yeah, there need to be a chairperson from the project team to take down the minutes of the meeting.
Okay, I'll just say someone to chair the meeting.
Yeah. Because they asked for 3, that's what we leave it at. And they didn't specify, identify the meeting roles that will be present and at the meeting and explain the purpose of each role. Okay, obviously, we need the project manager for the scope of the project.
Mm-hmm.
Scope of the project.
Yeah, that's cool.
We need a government stakeholder for the project Objectives from the government, what the government really wants.
Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that.
Objectives. And we need a chair. Take the meeting notes.
Yeah, one thing they emphasize here, everything must be recorded and archived and kept.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Somebody to chair meeting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because the meeting.
I think,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I'm going to say also, besides the chair to chair the meeting, I'm also just to make sure I get that little points. I'm going to say there must be someone from our project team on the administrative side to take minutes and all that shit. I'm separating those two.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
To record key decisions or discussions or whatever.
Yes. Because that's very important.
Yeah.
Without those agendas, hey.
Otherwise, we in a hearsay move. I didn't say so. You didn't say so. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm ready to move on if you are.
Yeah. My laptop is acting up, just acting very strange. Okay, let's move on.
The last time we did agenda was in the module 1. But I mean, there's obviously there's documentation in the manual of who should be present, and the order of the day of the agenda and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we need to reference that to see how the day is going to. It's going to start. Who's the key speakers? Who's doing what? When we're taking the breaks? If I remember from the last time, are we going to be having?
Yeah.
But this agenda is specifically so. This is not like we had last time when we were organizing a whole food for the community. When we had this is obviously a stakeholder meeting, which would take a different, slightly different type of thing. Although it will be the same protocol, you know what I mean. But we'll have to give these people some tea and stuff and pie face with it. Keep them happy.
Maybe some whiskey nyana because it's December,
Some whiskey, yeah. Give them an early Christmas thing, yeah. But I think from this template, if we reference what is required when we draw up a meeting agenda, I think we only did it last in module 1 or something. We'll have to take our guidance from there. You agree with that? I just have to go look where those things are.
Yes, definitely.
Meeting agenda, pre-meeting assignments. So okay, this is important. So who's going to basically do what? See, there's estimated time, so it's like a schedule,
Yeah.
Like this is when this person's going to speak for that, like in a meeting, and
yeah.
I think we can find that in our, if we reference our learner guide.
Yeah, their agenda should also address that. The agenda should address previous meeting minutes, what was being said, who did what, all those stuff.
Yeah, this looks very familiar, like action items. You also decide in that meeting, and you're actually delegating responsibilities and then for the next meeting, who's going to do what and who's going to feedback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's post-meeting actions I'm talking about now.
Yeah. So you see, I mean, people that we identified are going to be the invitees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their project role, obviously, we just want to name it there. We're going to name our project name and number, meeting location, project manager, who the project manager is, project owner, which is the government, calling number, meeting date and time. Invitees is those guys we just mentioned. They write their project role. And whether they attended or not, we don't really know. We just leave that one blank. Pre-meeting assignments will be what was who assigned to what. Obviously, the project manager.
No, that I think that is actually very important that we actually take a register. I think that's they have to say if they. I don't know. They say you must think out of the box. So basically, whoever you invited, we need to know that they were present.
Okay.
So we could make a call. You could say yes, he was or not. But as long as we decided that we need to indicate or show that we've taken a meeting attendance register type of thing. Understand?
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So we said pre-meeting assignments. These are the people that we assign to the meeting, which is our project manager, our government stakeholders. No, I'm wrong. Pre-meeting assignment is who is going to do what at the meeting. So the person who is going to head the meeting is the project manager, because this is the guy now going to be signing all those documents. The person is going to do the meeting notes. We can say administrative or chairperson.
Yeah, the administrative person of our team. Yeah.
Number 3, who is the government stakeholder. What would they be?
We could give him a chat. So remember, we're talking about a community here. This is a community project, so he could also have a slot in the thing where he talks and tries and become the president of the country. Who knows? You know, he's only in there. I can tell you now to get some political gain. No other reason.
Yeah. So we just give them time. They didn't tell us how long the meeting should be, did they?
Well, I don't think there's. We can just. As long as we indicate something, you know, you might think that we're going to give a different time to me. It doesn't matter. Like they say, there's no right answer. They just want to see how we understand how this whole process is unfold, you know?
Yeah. And would follow that agenda guideline on addressing the meeting topics of your welcoming, introduction, meeting objective, the reason for the meeting.
There we go. Yeah. And also the breaks, we need to stipulate we're having a break so and all that stuff, you know.
Yes. And we need to put the time on the other side. It says,
that's important that we put a time. It must just be sound realistic. What's realistic to you and to me might differ, but I mean that doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. All right. At the bottom there is action items. So now this is the previous meetings. Previous meetings minutes. So we'll be taking the previous agenda and putting.
I'm with you. Yeah. So those are items that were meant to maybe we discussed in the previous meeting, and now it needs to.
Yes.
So basically, maybe John had to report back on this or whatever, and then John goes, it's due today, whatever, you know, and then whatever's due, we can take feedback on. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so there will be meeting notes at the bottom there. Then it goes on and says, create a checklist you and your team could use to prepare for the meeting with the government entity. Yeah, so on the checklist, you will need who is going to be invited in the meeting, what we are going to be talking about, the post and the current topics that we are going to talk about in the meeting, the venue of the meeting, the time of the meeting. It's supposed to be 5 things that we at least list there.
I think this is almost something that we did in one of the other modules. Basically, if you're going to do a presentation, you know, it's like your crib notes, man. Your crib notes. So you're going to basically welcome the people. You're going to know your audience and you know, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
Mark, let me just answer this call from work. Sorry about that, Mark. I'm back.
No worries, bud.
You know, TCMA, they overwork us, these people. You can't.
They told me I'm actually getting into trouble. My boss was having a little fight with me. I said, well, I could have obviously just put in my 3 years, 30-day study leave and just do the course that way, you know, because I'm like saying I'm busy talking at the moment and don't expect a 2-minute response. I'm
Yeah.
busy talking, you know. It's unrealistic to expect me to respond to your message in 2 minutes.
It's silly. They
In any case,
give us this time off. This time you are supposed to have it entirely just for school, the Wednesdays. So you can't take a 30-day off because then the course is over the whole year. So you must take
Yeah.
every Wednesday off.
yeah, no, for sure. But I need to just drop it while you continue talking so long. But I got calls in the queue that needs to go to people that need to work. I'm getting SMSs here.
Yeah.
Piket, Mark, I don't know if you're still there. Courier equipment, Mark Taylor. Courier equipment arrived at site, but Piket back 4 hours SLA.
What are you doing that side?
We must got no call coordinator, so I'm running the field. I'm a field service manager, so I need to get there. I've got 17 or 18 people that if I just concentrate on the course, nobody works.
Yeah, that's true.
So I got to get the work out, and we got SLAs, you know. So I'm going to just keep this call out. Mark, I'm giving you a call, buddy. If you're there, I don't know if you're online.
Where are you? In PE?
I'm in Western Cape.
Western Cape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna try and visit the different TCM offices and just to see how the company is doing. I might come and visit you sometime next year.
No, for sure, it'll be so cool, but
Because I'm running that side, and what we do, we've got like this whole internship program, learnership programs that we run, and most of the guys, the candidates from your side there, we don't actually get to meet. We just talk to them online on Teams. But I wanna get to see the setup from. I wanna go to Namibia, to you, to Eastern Cape. I know Limpopo we don't really have a branch, but I wanna do all those rounds. Just
for sure. Sounds exciting.
yeah.
I was so excited on just a last point on just idle chat.
Yeah.
I had been wanting to go to Durban for such a long time, and eventually we went down with my family. What experience! I've been everywhere. I've been outside the country, but I hadn't been to Durban. Can you believe it? And I'm 56 years old.
Wow.
So there's so much to see still in South Africa. So I hear you excited to go and see all the regions.
Yeah. No, that'll be exciting. I'll definitely give you a shot. I mean, it's probably during the course when I'm gonna come down there, but I'll give you a shot.
Cool. No, for sure. For sure.
All right. So the next question says, use the template below to notify the team members about the meeting at the government entity. So this is the government entity meeting. 2 is going to be to the team members, which is the project team members, or directly from the project manager. We see the date there, meeting notification date. So that will be the date the meeting is going to happen, the time the meeting has to start, and the time it's going to end, the location where the meeting is going to be, and then we put all those agenda articles in there.
Okay. So this obviously from this form, it looks like it's an in-person meeting, huh?
Yes.
Not a virtual meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it could be a virtual meeting and the location will just be Teams. but I mean,
then if it was virtual, we would just say like Teams or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But according to the previous instruction, we are told that we signed contracts. Up to this stage, technically, we are not really supposed to be signing documents digitally. So it is, you're right, it is an in-person meeting because of the mere fact that we signed those documents.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, so that part looks I mean, pre-meeting preparation. I mean, my thing is we've done this, but it's just a while back since we've done a formal type of meeting. It's like in the first module or something. So to me, it's almost like a summary of these questions.
Yes, it is.
So basically, we need to just go and re-reference and not regurgitate, but refresh our minds how we did this before, because we've done this before.
Yeah, no, we've done this before. So remember that all these formative assessments are trying, so they teach us something, tell us that they taught us something, and then they ask us to tell them what they told us.
What they taught us. Yeah. No, I'm with you. You. So I think I'm happy with answering that question on formative activity 9. I'm happy with that.
Okay. Perfect. So we can go to 10 and scope through that. We are almost towards the end of the term. Okay, so after the meeting is complete, you are responsible to send the minutes of the meetings to the relevant stakeholders. Illustrate the post-meeting activities you need to take in order to send the meetings to the stakeholders.
You want to send the minutes to the stakeholders. Because the post-meeting activities you need to take in order to send. So obviously there has to be the record of the meeting.
Yes.
So they say illustrate the post activities you need to take in order to send the minutes. So you need to get, yeah. Okay, maybe you start talking. Clear my mind a bit.
Okay. Okay, so the first thing is we've just concluded the meeting. Okay, the meeting is complete. So we are responsible to send the minutes of the meeting to the relevant stakeholders, which is everybody who was supposed to be in the meeting. So the first thing that you're going to do is to, in your illustration, the first thing you're going to take you're going to take note of who attended the meeting, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
You're going to get their contact details.
But just are we only going to say what if someone was absent because of a sudden emergency? Are we just going to exclude them from the minutes now?
No, no, we should still include them.
Yeah.
On the,
so all the invitees, whoever we invited to the meeting, we're going to obviously they need to know what happened in the meeting. Whether do we agree on that, whether they were there or not?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
When we are checking the attendance register of the meeting, whoever that was not in the meeting, we need to list it on the what do they call it? There's an apology section in the agenda that okay, Mark was supposed to come to the meeting, but he had an emergency and he couldn't make it, and he sent his apology. So when we are sending those meetings, everybody who was in the meeting knows what happened in the meeting.
Yeah. I agree with you. Everything, communication is key. Everybody needs to know everything all the time.
Yes. So which means that the illustration will go like this. We will check on who attended, verify on the present stakeholders and the absent stakeholders and the reasons for them being absent, and then take their contact details and upload the meeting into whatever medium we're going to use to send the minutes of the meeting.
Wouldn't you, sorry, wouldn't it be basically a summary of the whole meeting?
Yeah, it's going to be a summary.
So basically, we're going to reference that document. If there was action items that was actioned, we would communicate that out. If there's outstanding feedback that must come, we would basically do a kind of summary, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. So
of that whole document, that formal document that we did earlier on.
Yeah.
To summarize that to try and get our 5 points. Would you agree on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I'm going to just write that as my notes because we won't have the time to go through everything, but we kind of know what we're talking about, you know?
Yeah.
So we basically give a summary of the agenda.
Yes.
And what important decisions were made and actioned and who was tasked with actions and whatever happened in that meeting, we're going to summarize to try and earn 5 points. We agree?
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay, number 2, explain the importance of project communication to ensure the success of the project. So here, because they're just asking us to explain the importance of communication, first we need to identify what communication is and why a team should communicate and why a team needs communication for the whole team system to work.
Yeah.
So basically,
we've learned such a lot about communication here. I mean, basically achieving milestones that will keep basically people motivated. And this whole in the book, in the course, there's so many reasons to explain why. I think to get 5 marks, we'll be able to answer that.
Yes.
There's over enough reasons. I mean, like for me, a key thing with stakeholders is to manage their expectations. You know, sometimes they expect more than what the project's actually going to deliver, you know. But you want to try and keep them happy all the time because you're going to might need them if you run into a bit of an unplanned or unplanned project management, unforeseen situation, and we need some moolah, we're going to need to get those eyes on our side, you know. So communication is key. And I mean, when people understand what they do, what is expected of them, and they're constantly reminded, you know, it gives them a sense of being part of it. There's so many positives, and I'm sure we can get 5 marks out of that easily.
100%. I mean, so far what we've learned, I feel like this 3 modules that we have been doing has been about communication. It's about forming a team, right? And what basically a team is, I'm currently training the national qualification level 4, and we are on communication right now. The module we are on is communication, and we are trying to make individuals understand the difference between a group, an individual, and a team. And that whole module is basically about your communication skill to other people and the alignment of that helps projects to progress and succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, communication is the whole project management. Project management is all communication. Once
that I must agree with you. I agree with you 150%. Just like I said earlier on, I think in module 2, I don't even care if I get a certificate. But what I've learned out of this thing is actually, I thought I've been communicating with people, but I haven't. I've learned, and I'm trying to implement this in my daily life, to not have preconceived ideas. As much as I think I know, I've learned that I actually know very little. You know, if someone wants to communicate with me, I've already got a preconceived idea, and people, I've learned such a lot about communication. I don't care about the certificate. It's just, for me, that's the most important benefit of this whole course, is that I've learned to do a lot of introspection about myself and to communicate and to listen to people. You know, I cannot understand your scenario if I've got a preconceived idea and now we start trying to dialogue. I can't.
Yes.
I need to come in with no I need to listen to what you're saying. And most importantly, what I learned is, don't, I call it gaslight. Don't gaslight the situation because you would have done this and that, because it's disrespectful to a person. And that's what I'm learning in this communication. I don't care about the projects and all that stuff. I'm learning how to communicate, and that for me is key.
That's true. And what I've learned is most of the projects, even in our departments as colleagues, most of the projects do not go smoothly because there's no communication transparency. There's a huge problems with organization and communication transparency, where you don't know what happened yesterday and you are pulled in and you're expected to know or respond to a certain question or a certain scenario that is happening at the working environment.
So true, so true. And the other thing that I learned, Susanni, is basically that a project, it's not a static thing. It's dynamic. It's going to change. You're going to, excuse my language, shit is going to hit the fan. It's like life. Nothing is set with a straight path. You're going to meet challenges, and without communication, you know, they say unity is strength. If you're stronger because of communication. Everything is stronger. If you don't talk, nobody's going to know. So for me, communication is key. And a project, as far as I know, it's got to sit in a start and end date in different phases. But it's never going to go as per plan because it's not static. It's not cast in stone. And that is where we come in as project managers, the way I understand it. We've got the ability, we know how, you know, that golden triangle thing, they call it your triple C's, which houses your quality. We can change certain things, and that whatever changes on the one affects the other, but the key thing is quality, you know?
Yes.
So that's the key message for me on this whole course. You know, there is the ability. Situations going to cause certain things to change. Maybe budgets go a bit out, maybe this happens or whatever. It's not, maybe nothing's going to go as planned, but there is a plan in place. But the beauty of project management is the risk, what could affect, that we are really looking ahead, what could go wrong. But you cannot know everything. You know what I mean? You can never
Absolutely.
plan everything. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and that is brilliant for me. It's a brilliant methodology. I mean, not only in running a project like rolling out pieces or whatever, but to apply that in your life, for me, it's brilliant. I don't know. That's my.
Just
Now I
just
sound like a
con-
person that's been smoking too much green, but I mean that's what I learned from it. You know what I mean?
just going still on the small talk. One of the biggest projects that failed, in in my opinion, was the COVID-19 project. There was very poor communication in the project. COVID-19 project. I'm calling it a project because we all had to embark on it. Affected our costs. It affected our quality of life. There was a scope to it, but there was no communication there. We were just instructed, no, turn over there, no, move now, jump,
Yeah,
sit.
yeah.
That is one of the biggest fails. We still don't know what happened there. It's one of those projects that we were all involved in, but we were all in our own individual groups. So I always, when I'm looking at this course, I always look at, okay, what has been the project that I've been involved in willingly or non-willingly, and the COVID-19 is one of those.
On a lighter note, I must say from Dr. Skosana Zuma, a good thing came out there. There's a good song now about the passing of the cigarettes man.
Oh yeah.
It's a good mix. I'll play it a couple of times there when I'm having a braai. But yeah, like I say, that was also just her input. But I hear what you're saying. There wasn't a lot of inclusivity, but is there scope to actually include everybody and have it? Someone needs to make a decision, call maybe certain decisions were made wrong. There was also a lot of corruption that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like I say, even that, what I'm finding from on the last bit of idle chatter, I'm finding it very difficult to find something that I cannot identify and say, but that's actually a project. I'm finding it I really have to look hard to say, but that's not a project. And that's the basics where we started. Because for me, everything is dynamic.
Yes.
And everything has got, even I look at my life as it's a project. I don't know when I'm going to pop on or pass over, but it's a project. There's a star that was born and I'm going to die. I know that. I don't know who's managing me though. As a spiritual person, I would say I'm being managed by the MacGyver above, by God.
Sorry.
But anyway, there we go. Enough talking. Let's get on with our activity 11. We've got 2 more to do. Good. How far are we now?
True story. Okay. Formative 11. Identify changes needed to the project scope. Right. Explain the meaning of each of the following terms relating to the change and give an example from your own project, work environment, and when and where it has been or could be necessary to implement them. What is the scope change? We need to give a meaning and example of that. What is change control? I think this we're gonna find in our learner guide.
Yeah, we're gonna find this here. I agree with you. Remember, my biggest concern when they gave us the examples to choose in the first thing, I said everything. They said everything in module 3 and module 4. So whatever you chose in that project, that's important to remember here. Explain the meaning of each. Give an example of your own project, work environment. So you can actually relate it to a today thing or to your own project that you chose at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's what we've got to remember. And then we'll find the answers basically in the learner guide. I agree with you.
Yeah, boy.
And this is basically isn't this the question 2, the risk analysis type of thing? Did we cover this in that section? I don't know.
Which one?
Section 2, give examples of types of problems that could occur during a project ranked accordingly. I remember doing some form of ranking. I think it was last week or the week. It's like a proper risk analysis where you actually go into detail. But this is also in the user guide somewhere. We covered this. I can't pinpoint it and say that's the answer. That's that.
Yeah.
But we had to rank severity of the problems that we could get. I remember. I think we did it last week or the week before. I can't remember.
Yeah. I think we can go back and look at the previous stuff that we did with that in this.
Yeah. You see, everything is talking about this formative activity too. That's your choice that you made for your community project.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a form of an addendum, isn't it? The cleanup.
What?
Because the cleanup was the last on your thing. So the cleanup project, you were involved. It took a very interesting turn. See formative activity too, so we'll have to reference what that is. But I'm not quite sure which one that. Oh, that must have been cleaning the park or something. I think it was to clean the park. I think.
It was the demolishing the building. Remember that building? Which
Yeah, the toilets were dilapidated and they were going to fall over it. All that you unearthed the toxic water tank underneath the building.
Yeah.
This must be taken care of by experts to prevent this liquid going into the soil, obviously, and contaminating the groundwater.
Yeah.
Play in, complete the change request. So yeah, this is basically it's a formal document that you need to do. Is basically almost like an addendum, a change request. We covered this also. So this will also be in the what you could. So we basically populate this form as per the example. There is an example also of this in the learner guide.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so on section B, we have
estimated, just say that estimate the impact of the budget, so that work effort and schedule. So how would this affect the project? Basically, this is obviously unplanned. So when you thought the cleanup is going to maybe take a day, now it's going to take a little bit longer. So time is this was those 3 C's. So it looks like the time, the schedule is obviously going to run a little bit out now, right?
yeah.
And the budget, maybe you clearly didn't plan for this, and maybe this now you would need to possibly approach the sponsors and say, "Hello, Puta, I need a bit more money here, you know. Thank goodness I've been buying you whiskey all the time."
Yeah.
That type of thing. So this is basically, I remember one of the lecturers mentioned it's almost like an addendum to your project thing that we got to write.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you just disappeared for a second.
Oh no, cool. I'm happy with that one. I don't know how you are.
Okay, so that's the project change goes all the way down. So we just need to fill that up. I need to relook at the learner guide to understand this whole project change.
Yeah. All I know, it's a very formal document like everything that needs to be basically written out, and then it's like dated and you need the PM needs, I remember, needs to sign it as well as the sponsor, all the stakeholders to approve that, and then it becomes incorporated to the original project charter type of thing. It's your understanding to me that everything that what we've learned at all stems off the project charter. Project charter's got everything in there.
Oh, is it?
No, that's my understanding. The project charter is basically everything. It's everything, and I'm understanding everything else is it all derives off that charter. Your plan, your work breakdown structure, your budget, and they're all in there. So the main thing is that project charter, which I'm thinking is basically almost like a legal document. I don't know. I have to still go do some research.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can wrap up and do 12 and 13 maybe at home by ourselves. There's some document control there on the flow chart on activity 12 and project document control on activity 13 that we still have to do.
The brief description, usually the following items in the table. Okay, that's cool. We'll be able to get that. I'm just going to, what would you draw a flow chart showing the activities relating to tracking? I mean, that's very important, you know, monitoring and feedback in project management. So draw a flow chart. So what are they talking about? tracking, recording, and reporting. There's three things. So we basically we know what we're supposed to get, we're monitoring it, and we're recording, and we reporting on the status of change requests. Okay, I don't know. I have to Google and read a bit more there. I'm a bit confused there. That one has confused me a bit, I must say.
I think it should also be there on the learner guide, the flow chart.
Is it? Oh, well, fantastic. As long as it's an example, then I can obviously just incorporate it into our specific scenario. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Project plan, baseline. Yeah, we covered this. Project schedule, budget, all this stuff here. Yeah, this is all answerable from the learner guide. Like the lecturer said, we need to just take note of the points. So there we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 16. It doesn't divide so nicely, but yeah. So we have to just earn 3 points per thing type of thing. Very close to 3 points. Oh, yes, more. Hold on, there's more. There is 16, so it's probably one each, or I don't know how much is there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now there's 16. So basically, we need to earn 1 point. Write a brief description of each of the following items in the table of contents of the project responsibility, project charter. So it's 1 point per each. One. Understand what I'm saying? There's
Yeah.
16 of them. So that should be, we should be able to answer that. I'm happy with that.
I agree with you. Yeah.
You see, everything is 2 and 911. Developer documents that you create. Okay. Yeah, I agree that all these answers could we've covered them. We will find them in the watch code. I think that's about it.
Yeah, that is about it.
And then the summative we have to do on our own.
Absolutely.
Okay, no, I don't know. I think that's everything we've covered, David.
Yeah, no, it was a lekker one.
That was lekker. It's a pity nobody else was chatting to us. But listen, when you're in Cape Town, please give me a shout, bro.
I will do that.
Get together, have a nice beer.
Absolutely. Well, enjoy your 16th, bro.
Okay, cool.
Colleagues, okay, fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Mark. Thank you, Mr. Chilisani, for your participation in the activities. And yeah, you were spot on in all what you were discussing, and I like that. Can you please put it in writing? Please, please, please. All the points that you were illustrating there, they are very important. Key points that you were illustrating, those are the things that are needed in your POEs. And you were quite right. And therefore, I wouldn't like you guys to miss the points that you were. I said it before, whenever we're doing these activities, you must have a scrap paper aside so that when you are discussing, you are putting some your own notes so that when you refer to your POE, you are good to go. And yeah, I must say it's been a journey for the past. Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, absolutely. You have done a quite enormous job on this session. Even though the time, for me, the time it was an issue, and I wish we had more time in these sessions. But yeah, it's what the client said they will give you, and it's what I was told to deliver. If I may have stepped into rush, apologies, but it's due for the interest of time. And we had 5 week session, and this is what I needed us to do and complete so that we move on to another module. The next module is module 4. It might be someone else, but I had a fantastic time to be engaging with you guys, and thank you for your time, your efforts, your participation in the class, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tabu. And you have a Christmas and festive season, but thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much. And to the rest of to Michelle and to Chilisani, good. You guys have a festive season and keep safe, right? Keep safe, and we'll chat again Soonest. It doesn't have to be next year if you're coming down to visit me in Western Cape. But yeah, we keep in contact. Okay, but
So, man, thanks a
All
lot.
right. Thank you. Bye,
No.
everyone.
cheers,
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Bye.